Welcome back, everyone. Oz here, and today I've got some r/am I the asshole for you all. As per usual, I'll be reading the post, giving you my thoughts and opinions, and I hope you do the same down in the comments below. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. Ambitious Promise 42. Am I the asshole for canceling my brother's job before he even started? I'm 33, and recently got promoted to Director of Operations at a growing company. Part of my job involves expanding the team. My younger brother, 27, had been jobless for a while, so I pulled some strings to create a position that fits his skills. It paid well, had growth potential, and I was excited to help him get back on track. Last weekend at a family barbecue, I overheard him talking to a couple of his friends. He didn't know I was nearby. He said, "I finessed the hell out of my brother, told him everything he wanted to hear, and now I'm locked in with a fat paycheck. Easy money." They laughed. He added that I've always been the gullible, responsible one, so he knew I'd fall for it. I didn't say anything at the time, but Monday morning I called HR and had the offer rescinded. I told them the position was no longer being filled. Now, the whole family is coming after me. They're saying it was just trash talk and I overreacted. My parents are calling me cold and dramatic. My brother texted me acting confused, saying he thought we were good. Here's my thing. I was helping him out, not just hiring a stranger. If that's how he talks when I'm not around, how can I trust him on my team? This post doesn't have a rating yet, but I'm firmly in the boat of not the asshole because he proved two things to you. One, he's going to be a shit employee. He doesn't see this as an actual job. He just sees it as a fat paycheck and easy money that he finessed out of his brother. He also showed that while quote-unquote trash talking, that while you would try to give him everything he needs to help survive, he has no appreciation for it. He sees it as though he managed to swindle you out of it, that he's smarter, sly, more cunning than you, that you're just the gullible one and he pulled the wool over your eyes. You went out of your way to help him. You built a position for him, to help him get on his feet. And this is how he talks about you behind your back to his friends? If he has the gall to text you and act confused saying, "Thought we were good," just tell him. You heard how he really thinks of you, and if this is the kind of person that he is behind the scenes and this is how he talks to his friends, you don't know how he'll talk to his coworkers. You don't know how he'll treat his job. You know for a fact, though, that he doesn't take this seriously. Lay it out for him. You gave him an incredibly generous offer and he spat in your face, and now he gets to deal with the consequences of that. Overall Flower 6289. Am I the asshole for telling off my sister at her birthday dinner? Here's some important context. My sister, 28 female, recently got engaged to her now fiancé, 28 male. We only recently found out about the engagement, even though they've been engaged for 2 months. Before their engagement, they were only dating for a month or so. When my sister announced her engagement, we were all shocked, to say the least, but we congratulated her and we celebrated. However, she's now made it a point to stay making fun of the fact that she got engaged before me, 25 female, even though I've been in a long-distance relationship with my boyfriend, 28 male, for 4 years. In fact, everyone was surprised that she got engaged before me. I've told her multiple times that I'm not bothered that she got engaged before me since she's the older sister, so it only makes sense. Now here's where I might be the asshole. We were at her birthday dinner a few days ago. Once again, this birthday dinner, she started the whole thing of how she got engaged before me. I was just going to let it slide since it was her birthday dinner and her fiancé was there, and I don't really know him that well. However, she then said that apparently they were planning that if they found out that my boyfriend was going to propose to me, they were going to get engaged the day before just to beat me to it. As soon as I heard that, I lost it and told her that she's making it seem as though she only got engaged just to spite me. The mood turned sour and eventually we all went home. My parents think I overreacted since, according to my sister, that comment was only a joke. So, am I the asshole for telling my sister at her birthday dinner? That's a weirdly specific joke to make, though, so I don't quite buy the fact that it was only a joke. But hey, at least on the bright side, congratulations on the fact that your sister is so jealous of your life that the only thing that she has to one-up you is the fact that she rushed to get engaged to her 1-month-long boyfriend just to beat you to be engaged first. I'm actually probably willing to bet that she'll also be able to brag about the fact that she got divorced before you did. So, yeah, I wouldn't stress about it. And not to mention, just as a general rule of thumb that I'm starting to learn, if someone tells you it's just a joke, Have them explain what the joke is. Have them explain what makes it funny. Just make them squirm about it. Because yeah, you can label anything you want to as a joke. I can grab my aluminum bat and hit you in the shins multiple times and say, "It was just a joke, why are you freaking out?" But that doesn't absolve the pain that it might cause, or any of the damages or repercussions that follow with it. In fact, actually, have them explain, how is hitting me in the shins with an aluminum bat a joke? I'm willing to bet 99% of the time they won't actually be able to explain what makes the joke funny. And if they just simply respond with the fact of, "Well, I find it funny," and if the joke was harmful, that just makes them an asshole. But overall, OP is not the asshole, and her sister is just setting herself up for a lot of misery down the line because she's jumping the gun. Anon browsing, LOL. Am I the asshole for not defending my brother to my husband after my brother threatened his business? I, 32 female, feel stuck between my husband, 34 male, and my family, and I don't know if I handled this the right way. My brother, 30s, has always been the golden child in my mom's eyes. He has several kids, but barely parents them. My mom, 60s, watches his children constantly while he sleeps, plays video games, or just disappears. Anytime someone brings up how unfair this is, she makes excuses like, "He's just tired," or "He's doing his best." He rarely shows up to help, and everyone is expected to tiptoe around it. Recently, things got worse. My husband owns his business and works hard to provide for our family. After a dumb disagreement with my brother actually threatened my husband's business. Like, straight up said he'd mess with it. Not even in a joking way. Then he demanded my husband return the furniture we had bought and given him. This was stuff we purchased to help him when he was going through a tough time. It wasn't a loan, it was a gift. But suddenly, he was acting like we owed him something. So yeah, my husband got mad. He made a comment about how my brother doesn't do anything, never helps with his own kids, and how my mom constantly enables him. It was honest. Maybe a little harsh, but not inaccurate. I didn't say anything. I didn't defend my brother because honestly, my husband was right. I felt that way for years, but always kept quiet to avoid drama. Later, my mom pulled me aside and told me I should have stood up for my brother. She said I let my husband disrespect family and accused me of changing since I got married. She made me feel like I betrayed them by not taking my brother's side. Now, I feel completely torn. My husband is working hard, doing his part, and constantly getting disrespected. But my mom acts like I should cover for my brother, no matter what. So, am I the asshole for not defending my brother when my husband called him out? Edit. Seeing a lot of people thinking I didn't defend my husband, I left that part out because I didn't need judgment on if I was the asshole for doing that. My family and I haven't spoken since this happened, and I definitely had a screaming match with my mother after this happened. If you aren't staying neutral and you're actually defending your husband, then I would say not the asshole. Reddit labeled this as an everyone sucks post, but if OP did as she said and defended her husband, then I'm gonna say not the asshole. Your brother's a spoiled brat and honestly kind of just a bastard by the sounds of it. Like, seriously. Threatening the business, and on top of that, I want you to return the furniture you bought for me as a gift. It's just a power play. And rude. And mean. It doesn't make any fucking sense. Definitely stick to your guns and don't curtail to your mother. Because the whole reason why your brother acts like this is because he spent his entire life being enabled by her. She's got to learn the hard way that either she stops this behavior, which she probably won't, or she only has one child now. Because this is just unacceptable behavior for a 30-year-old adult to be having. The Last Martian 13. Am I the asshole for being a dick to a door-to-door salesman? Look, I know everyone has to earn a living, but I have 2 small children who need a nap and 2 dogs who freak the fuck out when the doorbell rings. Plus, my wife and I work shift work, myself overnight. I have a sign that says, "No soliciting, please," clearly on my front door. Still, these guys consistently ignore it and ring my doorbell. I've had my fair share of times where I've been pretty unpleasant to them as a result, but today, I really lost it. This guy rang my doorbell, setting off the kids and the dogs per usual. I go outside and he immediately starts going into his canned sales shit. I stop him to ask if he saw the sign and he says, "Yeah, but I saw..." followed by a weak-ass excuse. I cut him off and said, "So you chose to ignore the sign?" And he just kept trying with the sales shit. I told him, "Listen, man, I have kids and dogs, etc., and don't appreciate it when people ignore the sign." Then he has the audacity to tell me I should put that on a sign and put it on my front door. I basically told him to fuck off and just went inside. He was clearly surprised how pissed I was, but I'm so tired of these guys. As a side note, I actually had a sign that explained I had kids napping, hanging from my door knocker a while ago. Guess what happened to it? It was broken by a salesman using the knocker. Got the fucking logic of, "Hey, you should put up a sign that says that." Yes, I did. It says it right there. No soliciting. You chose to ignore that, so how am I supposed to believe you'll suddenly actually listen to the sign that explains why the no soliciting sign's there? Huh? Not the asshole. I fucking hate this stuff, man. He saw the sign, chose to ignore it, thought that his sales pitch was going to somehow convince you that he was the exception to the no soliciting sign. That's not how that works, buddy. If anything, that just makes me want to leave a really bad review in your company. I've only ever yelled at a door-to-door person once. Not yelled, more of just was an asshole to them. And that was because while I was sleeping, and as most of you know, my sleep schedule doesn't exist. I go to bed when I'm sleepy, and as long as my work's done, then I let myself sleep. Which usually translates to a shifting sleep schedule, where I'm up for about 18 hours and I sleep for 7 to 8 hours. So throughout the month, my sleep schedule gradually changes as time goes on. It's bizarre as fuck, but it works for me and I'm happy on it. Now, what annoys the hell out of me is that sometimes when I'm sleeping during the day, I'll have people that'll, knock on the door and try to get the attention. Normally I sleep through it, but there was this one guy who was advertising his service to clean out the gutters. And instead of him ringing the doorbell and leaving behind like a little advert slip, he bangs on the door while spamming the doorbell. And I'm not talking like a knock, like just like a gentle knock. Like it is like FBI open up kind of knock while spamming the doorbell. So I am forced to jump out of bed, panicked, throwing on clothes, scrambling, tripping up the stairs, getting to the door and opening it, expecting there to be some kind of emergency. And no, this guy just wants to clean my gutters out. He gives me the stupid thing of like, "Oh, I'm just in the area. I thought I'd go door to door and see if anyone else wants their gutters cleaned out." I told him, no. He woke me up, I work at nights, and that I wasn't interested. Then he says, "Oh, I'll just come back tomorrow and see if you change your mind." I told him not to do that. The next day, I was sleeping and the same fucking routine happens. I open the door, I tell him that I'm not interested and close the door on him. He does it again the next fucking day. So I left a 1-star review on 5 accounts. I have multiple inboxes for personal, spam stuff, as well as, business-related stuff. So it slowly just kind of turned into 5 different accounts, each one having their own purpose. But yeah, I tanked his ratings because he wouldn't fucking listen to me and kept waking me up. Lo Stronzo. Would I be the asshole if I tell someone, "I know you're trying to be nice, but that's one of the most hurtful things anyone has ever said to me"? Reddit has deemed this person the asshole, and from the title, I'm definitely curious as to why. My wife's Aunt Sally has twice told me that my parents don't love me. I don't think she meant to be hurtful, but I really hated hearing that. The first time, she was upset with me and lecturing me about how to be a better husband. She presented it as a way to make allowances for me and relate to me. It was basically, "I know what it's like to grow up with parents who don't give you unconditional love, but you're an adult now, and you need to decide what type of person you're going to be." The second time, she meant it as a compliment. A few months before my son was born, she said, "I know you're going to be a loving father, even though you didn't get the love you needed growing up." I have a complicated relationship with my father. He can be very obnoxious. Things have been tense between us for the past 2 years. It's a very sensitive topic for me. I have difficulty talking about it even with close friends. If you are trying to hurt my feelings, it would be hard to find a better vulnerability to poke. I'm not good at thinking on my feet. I didn't know how to respond the first 2 times. If she says it again, I want to say, "I know you're trying to be nice, but that's one of the most hurtful things anyone has ever said to me." I realize that there's a right and a wrong way to address this, and my way is definitely somewhere in the middle. I'm just trying to find out which side of the asshole line it falls on. A well-adjusted adult would either have a heart-to-heart with Sally about the lingering feelings from what she said, or just let it go and accept that she made a mistake. On the other end of the spectrum, some people would address this with yelling and name-calling. Sally and I got along very well for several years before this happened. Now, I'm uneasy about sharing anything personal with her. I make chit-chat with her, but I don't like to get into deep conversations because I don't like the idea of her knowing about sensitive topics. I want her to feel ashamed of herself. I'm certainly being at least a little bit of an asshole by weaponizing her compassion against her. I just want to know if I'm going too far. Too long didn't read. A mostly nice person has twice told me that my parents don't love me. I could have an adult conversation with her about this, but I'd rather wait to see if she says it again, and be a little hyperbolic and try to make her feel guilty. I see why this has the asshole rating. You aren't the asshole in the situation, but you are the asshole with how you're trying to handle the situation. Honestly, if it really does bother you, rather than trying to weaponize it and bring Sally down, just be an adult and have a conversation about it. I don't think Sally means to harm you or hurt you or make you feel down, but you certainly are trying to make Sally feel down and be hurtful towards her. So I feel like the best way to approach this, in order not to ruffle any feathers and actually be productive with it, is to have that conversation, and actually just catch it before it happens a third time. There's nothing wrong with feeling hurt or upset by the fact that she's saying this to you, and that it's a sensitive topic. There's nothing wrong with feeling that. But I do agree with Reddit's rating of you being the asshole because you know she doesn't mean it, but you're actively waiting for an opportunity to make her feel worse, rather than actually talking to her. Tasty Slide 411. Am I the asshole for banning my mom's boyfriend from my life after what he did at my granddad's funeral? My mom, 56, has been dating a man, Adam, for 5 years. I'm 28 female. They met online during COVID and said, "I love you," within 3 weeks, before they'd even met in person. At the time, we had just gotten out of a 20-plus year abusive home situation. Our mom didn't protect us. We got us all out. We'd encouraged her to date to stop her going back to dad, but the intensity of the relationship raised red flags. Adam is in his late 50s, never married, supposedly has a good job but nothing to show for it. I suspect he gambles, he watches every sport, every team, obsessively. He lives in England. We're in Ireland. Southern or northern? That's the real question. There have always been red flags, subtle digs about my mom aging, calling her decisions our decisions, but keeping his private. He makes no effort with family and isolates her. I think he's using her and possibly planning to freeload off her divorce settlement. The final straw was him watching football on his phone for 15 plus minutes at my granddad's funeral. I waited a few weeks to tell my mom. When I did, he denied it. She believed him over me. Things got tense. My sister, 22 female, and I ended up in family therapy without him and agreed to one last conversation with Adam. We told our mom, if it went badly, she could keep seeing him, but she had to stop trying to involve us. It was a big deal. We were anxious and triggered by having to confront a man about his behavior, given our past. The conversation was awful. He said, well, agree to disagree, then admitted he glanced at his phone, then finally admitted to watching the match. Still, no apology. Since then, 6 months ago, we've had no contact with him. I've told him I don't want to speak to him again. Now, my mom is saying we need to fix things and come for dinner to sort it out. She gets upset when we say no. I'm exhausted. I can't control who she dates, but I won't be around him. It's stressful, triggering, and upsetting. Some people say we're being overly sensitive due to CPTSD, but honestly, we're too tolerant. We survived years of abuse. If we were fragile, we would have broken. We didn't. Now, I'm getting married next year, and I'm already heartbroken because my dad won't walk me down the aisle. Not because he's gone, but because of what he did to us. That's something I've had to grieve. But now it feels like another man in my mom's life is going to ruin another major moment. My graduation, birthdays, those were all made miserable by my dad. And now it feels like my wedding could be overshadowed by another man she's putting first. I just don't understand how it's unreasonable to want my wedding day to be about me. For once, not about managing someone else's boyfriend. My mom clearly thinks I'm the problem, that I'm being difficult and dramatic because of our past. And honestly, I'm starting to feel like I'm the asshole. But deep down, I don't think I am. I just feel like one for standing my ground. Am I the asshole for drawing this boundary and saying I don't want to spend Christmas or my wedding with this man? Edit. My mom will definitely come to my wedding. We are actually really close and get on so well, apart from this drama. Which is why it's even more hurtful. When it's not about men, we have a really good relationship. It does feel more like a sister relationship. She's honestly not a bad person. She's a great mom in lots of ways. She just makes really bad decisions with men that make it look that way. My little sister has supported me and been there for me through everything. She's who will walk me down the aisle. We've been through everything together. It's only right. Further edit. I've said to her about going no contact if she continues to force him on us, and she feels this is me forcing her to break up with him and not letting her make her own decisions. Edit 3. Since around March of 2024, I refuse to be anywhere near him. I don't go to her house when he's over. I don't even pick up the phone if she rings when they're together, as she tried to force me to speak to him on my birthday before. At Christmas, I'd said either I go to the family Christmas dinner or he does. There was a lot of tears and tantrums from her, but I held my ground. It's harder for my sister because she lives with my mom, but she refuses to enter a room if he's in it. If he follows her into a room, she leaves, and she trusts to stay away from the house as much as possible. If Mom talks about Adam, I just pretend she didn't say anything and continue on with the conversation as if that sentence hadn't happened, or walking away. This is what Mom thinks is harsh. He somehow appears in every conversation, even when it's pointless to include him. I say definitely not the asshole. Your mother has a history of choosing her partner over her children, and it's happening again. Adam doesn't sound like a good guy. He sounds exhausting. Just being the kind of person that needs to pull their phone out during a funeral to watch a game just tells me everything I need to know about them, especially with him lying about it, and then your mother taking his side. It's gross, and unfortunately extremely telling. OP is probably going to be faced with a difficult decision of whether or not having their mother by their side is worth the anxiety that Adam gives. And that's not fun. That's not a good position to be in, especially considering her history. But it's important for OP to understand that they don't have an Adam problem, they have a mom problem. And while that is definitely something difficult to navigate, that is something they're going to have to face, especially with their wedding coming up. Good luck, OP. NoI9291. Am I the asshole for telling my husband not to hire a video editor, even though it's affecting our relationship? My husband recently landed a well-paying job as a welder, working 12-hour shifts most days. Before this job, his main hobby was content creation. He loved filming, editing, and uploading videos online. It was never a source of income, just something he enjoyed doing. Now that he's working full-time, he barely has the time or energy to edit his videos. He came to me, asking if he could hire a video editor so he could still enjoy his hobby without spending hours editing. I told him I don't think that was a good idea, because we have other important expenses to prioritize: health insurance, car insurance, bills, groceries, etc. He already knows how to edit, and I felt that hiring someone else would be unnecessary when we're trying to save. He reluctantly agreed and dropped the idea, but ever since, he's been distant. If he's not at work, he's either recording and editing his videos or sleeping. We barely spend time together anymore. I brought it up, and he said that editing takes up the only free time he has. But it's the only way he can still feel like himself and enjoy life outside of work. I can't help but feel like he's being petty by choosing editing over spending time with me, especially since I compromised by not stopping him from doing content creation entirely. Just asked him not to spend on an editor. Am I the asshole for telling him not to hire one, or is he just being immature about this? Edit. We both contribute financially to the household. Our financial situation has been gradually improving after a period of difficulty. I am somewhat concerned about the possibility of him hiring a video editor, as I am not concerned about the intended payment amount. I looked up standard rates for editors online and believe that the cost may not be necessary given our current expenses. I am going to read a few comments on this one, but I do just want to point out the joyous logic of, just do the editing yourself, there's no need to pay someone for it. Hey, why are you spending time with me and why are you spending all of your time doing video editing? You should be thankful I let you keep your hobby in the first place. That logic alone just puts OP into asshole category. Now, whether or not this is an everyone sucks here, that is debatable, which I will discuss that more near the end of the tangent. Now, as someone who does content creation and understands what the cost of an editor might be, to just simply do some menial grunt work like chopping up footage, save you a couple hours, a skilled and seasoned video editor definitely would have macros and tools just to fucking ram right through that shit, assuming he's just looking for something to be cut down and not looking for like video essay quality and editing, and charge maybe like $50 to $100, and assuming that it might just be something that happens like once a week or so, that's a manageable expense, and it allows him to spend more time on the hobby that he actually enjoys and not on the menial grunt work. Plus, it gives him more time to spend with his wife. That's just my opinion, as someone who works with video editing for a living, and has both done content creation and video editing for other channels, so I am actually very familiar with this field and do have a place of authority to speak on for once. Now, onto a comment. Captain Fiddlesworth, you're the asshole. Quote, I compromised by not stopping him from doing content creation entirely. End quote. That is not a compromise. You aren't entitled to that. He offered you a way to spend time with you by spending money on an editor to free up some of his limited time. I don't know your situation, but a different compromise could have been for you to help him edit, if you want to exchange some of your time for couple time. Followed by this response from Grammarly sucks ass. I'm sorry, but this is absolutely ridiculous. I agree OP is an asshole for acting like she has the right to stop her husband from doing his hobby, but him basically saying, babe, I can either have a whole-ass employee to help me do this hobby, or I can spend time with you, is a little ridiculous, especially when finances are tight from the sound of it, and it would be paid for using their joint account. Like, if OP were to suddenly ask to employ a personal shopper and then proceed to spend every non-working minute out at the mall when her husband reasonably refused such a significant expense, that would be crazy. It's not an employee, though. It's a freelancer that you would 1099, assuming that you're paying them more than $600. Which, assuming he's just looking to save some time and not have someone else do his hobby for him, I don't think the expense of getting a video editor just to shorten the length of editing needing to be done is going to be that expensive. But now if he is hiring an editor to do the full package from cutting footage down to motion graphics to just, essentially speaking, the video essay special, yeah, that's going to get expensive really fast because then you're looking at $500 to $600 per video. But I doubt that's what he's going for. Now, the logistics of video editing aside, and just my personal opinions on that from someone who has experience in the field, what I will say is that while OP's language is definitely, like, suspicious and has red flags attached to it, I will say that her husband should at least be taking a break from his hobby to spend some time with his wife. Like, if he is spending every single day after work doing his hobby and no time with his spouse, that's shitty, dude. Spend some time with your wife. Like, I personally can't fathom doing video editing as a hobby because it's my job and it gets exhausting. But like, if that's your hobby, like any hobby, you should be doing it within moderation and making sure you're at least spending time with your significant other. I think that can be looked at as like a minimum, and that's part of the reason why I was kind of on the boat of potentially this being an everyone sucks here. Let me hear your opinions. Don't forget, this is brought to you by GamerSupps. Use code OZ at checkout. It's basically a caffeine powder that you put in your water, and I actually really like it. I use this on a daily basis. Don't forget that every purchase you make using code OZ directly supports the channel. And if you want a personal recommendation from me, I would either recommend the Soda Pressing Bear or Dragon Fruit Punch. Those two are currently my favorite flavors. And as a note, once we sell a certain amount of stuff, I get my own flavor and my own cup, and you all know I'm gonna choose some degenerate shit that's gonna make their PR team squirm. My goal is to make them regret partnering with me. So please, use code EYES at checkout to make my dream come true of making a PR team squirm.